Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 81, Is this the best your dragon can do? Boss? Both Archer and Proton's expressions changed slightly when they saw Lance arrive. Team Rocket dominates the underworld of the entire Viridian City, essentially making them the kings of Kanto's dark world. However, the Kanto League looms over them like a mountain, forcing everyone in Team Rocket to live underground. Within the Kanto League, two people are most feared by Team Rocket, Lorelei and Lance. Don't panic, you two retreat first and look for a chance to escape, Giovanni said calmly. But boss. Archer and Proton were a bit reluctant. Did their boss really have to cover their retreat? Lance is a madman. Whether he will attack you or not, I can't guarantee. Just fall back. Giovanni watched as Lance approached, a man slowly descending into madness. Lance, the Dragon Master, had been driven to the edge by the sight of Team Rocket's genetic experiments over the years and by the corruption within the League itself. In Giovanni's eyes, Lance was like a mad dog growing more unhinged, but the most terrifying thing was that this mad dog was incredibly powerful. As he thought of the possible scenarios, Giovanni's lips curled up slightly. Yes, sir. Archer and Proton responded solemnly and began to slowly retreat. Meanwhile, Lance, sir. Dylan approached Lance. You captured Articuno? Lance nodded at Dylan, glancing at the Articuno behind him with some surprise. Yes, just a couple of days ago, by sheer luck, Dylan replied with a smile. Not bad, Lance said, a faint smile of approval on his lips. Dylan was a junior, he acknowledged, and seeing him grow stronger gave Lance comfort. He was confident that Dylan would one day challenge him. Archer, Proton, and this guy? Lance crossed his arms, his expression turning cold as his indifferent gaze swept over Archer and Proton, finally settling on Giovanni. Lance's sharp eyes narrowed slightly. His instincts told him this man was not simple. Lance, sir, this is the leader of Team Rocket, Dylan whispered. Team Rocket's leader? Lance's pupils suddenly dilated, and the muscles on his face twitched strangely. It was as if he wanted to smile but was holding back, creating an eerie and terrifying expression. Staring intently at the middle-aged man in a black suit, his blood-red hair partially covering his murderous eyes, Lance finally spoke. Finally showing your face, you filthy rat. After a long silence, Lance's lips curled into a wide, menacing grin, revealing his teeth in a way that would frighten even children. At this moment, he looked less like the champion of the Kanto Elite Four and more like a sinister villain. Lance really has some psychological issues, Dylan thought as he stepped back, his gaze flickering as he watched the now terrifying Lance. In the original story, Lance was a twisted and fanatical villain, but in this merged world, Lance had become the champion of Kanto. Though he usually seemed merely aloof and cold, his extreme emotions were now becoming evident. Lance had been born in Viridian Forest and had received its blessings. He loved nature and Pokemon deeply. However, sometimes, excessive love can lead to twisted, unhealthy behavior. Lance's intolerance of corruption made him despise Team Rocket, especially for their cruel genetic experiments on innocent Pokemon. To ordinary people in this world, Team Rocket's ruthless actions warranted life sentences in prison for their leaders. But to Lance, prison was too lenient. Anyone associated with Team Rocket, anyone wearing their uniform, deserved nothing less than death. And now, the leader of Team Rocket, the source of Kanto's darkness, was standing right in front of him. Lance felt a surge of excitement. Dragonite! Tear him apart! With a crazed smile, Lance's eyes, partly obscured by his blood-red hair, seemed to be shrouded in darkness. At his command, the unusually grim Dragonite behind him shot towards Giovanni like a yellow blur. Dragon Claw! Dragonite's razor-sharp claws sliced through the air, aiming straight for Giovanni. Bang! But in the next moment, a sharp needle intercepted Dragonite's dragon claw, stopping it in its tracks. It was Beedrill. Lance tilted his head slightly. He hadn't paid much attention to this Beedrill at first. After all, how could such a weak Pokémon stand against a dragon? But for it to block Dragonite's dragon claw so easily was no ordinary feat. "Seems like you've got some skill after all, you filthy rat," Lance sneered, his grin widening as he looked at Giovanni, who was shielded by Beedrill. "I'll accept your praise, Lance," Giovanni said, tipping his black hat slightly, his low, raspy voice carrying an odd elegance. "But I'm surprised. Is this really the strength of the invincible Dragon Master, Lance?" Giovanni's lips curled into a faint, mocking smile as he spoke slowly. "Is this the best your dragon can do?" Lance's facial muscles twitched again, as if torn between laughter and rage. Giovanni's words were sharp, indeed. Dylan couldn't help but click his tongue. Everyone knew that Lance took great pride in his dragon army. All of Lance's pride stemmed from his dragons. His unbeatable dragons in Kanto. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, Lance's maniacal laughter echoed through the hallway. But in the next instant, the laughter abruptly stopped, and Lance's expression turned ice cold. "Then let's see the power of this dragon you call no big deal. Just don't run away with your tail between your legs, you rat hiding in the sewers." "Ha!" Giovanni chuckled softly, unfazed by Lance's taunt. He subtly signaled to Archer and Proton, indicating that they should leave while they had the chance. Archer and Proton exchanged glances before nodding to Giovanni and preparing to retreat. "Do you think you can escape?" Of course, Lance noticed Archer and Proton's movements, but he wasn't too concerned about those two small fry. "Dylan, go after them. It'll be good for you." Lance's eyes remained fixed on Giovanni and Beedrill as he spoke coldly. He didn't care much for Archer and Proton, but Dylan was different. If Dylan could capture Archer and Proton, along with Ariana from before, the benefits he'd gain would be immense. Seriously, even in front of Team Rocket's leader, Lance was still thinking about Dylan's future. But Dylan was torn. He really wanted to stay and watch Lance and Giovanni's showdown. This was a rare, epic battle. "All right, leave it to me, Lance," Dylan reluctantly agreed. He couldn't find a good excuse to stay. Before leaving, however, Dylan set up a camera drone, hoping it would survive to capture the fight. He hadn't gone far when he heard the sounds of a fierce battle. Clearly, Lance and Giovanni had started fighting. Meanwhile, using a hidden passage, Archer and Proton emerged onto a small street. "I hope the boss is okay," Proton said, worried. "Don't worry, let's just leave Celadon City for now." "Move," Archer replied with a grim expression. This mission had been a complete failure. But he couldn't understand how Dylan had become so strong. As they stepped out of the building and rounded a corner, Archer froze. Wearing a hat with clear, red eyes visible under the brim, dressed in a red jacket and blue jeans, stood Red. Red was also momentarily surprised to see Archer and Proton, but he quickly understood the situation. Their disheveled appearance indicated they had escaped from Team Rocket's base. Two flashes of light appeared as Charizard and Pikachu took their places in front of Red. Red adjusted his hat, his expression unreadable. He had received a distress call from Leah earlier, but he had been too far from Celadon City at the time. By the time he arrived, the League had already launched its attack, and Officer Jenny wouldn't allow him to assist. So, he had been patrolling the area when he stumbled upon the fleeing Archer and Proton. "Well, thank you, Mother Nature. Isn't that the kid from the ship last time?" Proton whispered to Archer. Archer's eyelid twitched. Of course, he knew. "Relax. Archer, you're the top executive of Team Rocket. This kid can't be as tough as Dylan. If we defeat him, we can escape. You can do it." Proton encouraged Archer, though he had no choice, his main Pokémon had all been defeated by Dylan. He couldn't exactly fistfight Charizard. "Stop jinxing me, you idiot." Archer suppressed the urge to smack Proton as he took out two Pokeballs. He had to focus on defeating this obstacle first.
Red. Let's settle this. That's right, Red wasn't Dylan. There was no way he had gone easy on them back on the ship, right? They had to win. Chapter 82, I Lost Again.
When Dylan arrived at the alley, the battle had just ended.
Proton looked helpless, while Archer was in shock, standing there dumbfounded.
Yes, Archer had lost again. Because his core team of Houndoom and Weezing had already been defeated by Dylan, his combat power was incomplete. Moreover, compared to the last battle, Red's combat experience and strength had increased significantly. The battle between the two was intense, but undoubtedly, Archer had been defeated once more.
I lost again.
Looking at his Crobat and Victory Bell, both incapacitated, Archer fell into deep self-doubt.
This doesn't make sense. During the last encounter on the battle, hadn't he fought both Dylan and Red to a standstill? How did things turn out like this now?
Brother, in the future, don't try to act tough in front of us, Proton said, patting Archer on the shoulder with a heavy heart. It wasn't even about Dylan, but this Red Archer couldn't even solo him. How could he have the nerve to say he almost won that 2-on-1? Archer felt his face heat up rapidly, and he didn't know if he should cough up the blood in his throat or not. Archer's face turned an ugly shade, but there was nothing he could do.
He noticed Dylan walking towards them from the other side.
Yo Red,
so you're here, Dylan greeted Red. Red, victory hand emoji.
Red nodded slightly, but it was clear he was in a good mood, happy to reunite with Dylan.
Mr. Archer, Mr. Proton, I didn't expect that even with your boss giving you a chance to retreat, you still failed, Dylan teased as he looked at Archer and Proton.
Neither Archer nor Proton responded. The only consolation for Archer was that he had managed to pass on the gene fusion research data to Giovanni.
Rumble.
At that moment, the ground suddenly shook violently, the tremors even reaching Dylan and Red. A yellow figure suddenly burst out from the underground in the distance, then quickly sped off into the distance. The next moment, Lance's Dragonite soared into the sky, scanning the area before locking onto a direction and giving chase.
Is that? Red's red eyes flickered as he looked at Dylan.
That's the leader of Team Rocket, a very strong trainer.
Lance is currently battling him, Dylan replied after a moment of thought. But it seems that the Team Rocket leader is about to flee. There was no doubt about it. Giovanni wouldn't engage Lance in a prolonged battle under these circumstances. After ensuring that Archer and Proton were safe enough, Giovanni would undoubtedly retreat as well. The leader of Team Rocket, huh?
Red remained silent. He had no fondness for the evil Team Rocket, and naturally, their leader was the source of all evil. If they ever met, he would do everything in his power to capture him. With Archer and Proton captured, the operation to clear out the Team Rocket base in Celadon City was a huge success. Including Ariana, who was captured before the operation, they had effectively captured 3 of Team Rocket's high-ranking officers in one go. Thank you for your hard work, Gym Leader Dylan, and to both of you as well.
We greatly appreciate your assistance.
Outside the game corner, Archer and Proton had their Pokeballs confiscated and were handcuffed. Officer Jenny, in charge of the operation, who rarely smiled but did so as she expressed her gratitude to Dylan and the others. Leah and Red both shook their heads, as usual, trying to keep a low profile.
Leah didn't want to stand out, and Red simply wasn't interested. Officer Jenny, you're too kind. As a member of the League, it's everyone's duty to eliminate the evil Team Rocket, Dylan responded politely. He wasn't after verbal thanks, he wanted something more tangible.
You truly deserve the praise, Gym Leader Dylan. As the key contributor to this operation, I'm sure the League will reward you handsomely, Officer Jenny said with a smile. Indeed, although Red had intercepted the 2 and defeated Archer, securing them, the credit was largely given to Dylan. Red, being modest and shy, didn't like being in the spotlight and once again pushed his achievements to Dylan, just like on the SSN.
It was really a group effort. Dylan was about to say more when his phone rang.
Seeing that it was Lance calling, he answered.
Lance, Dylan answered. Dylan, I've already heard the report from Officer Jenny.
You did a great job.
I've informed the president, and he'll likely contact you personally.
Lance's calm voice came through the phone.
Thank you, Lance. What about the Team Rocket leader? Dylan was still curious about the outcome of the battle between Lance and Giovanni. That rat managed to escape, Lance replied coldly. Indeed, he hadn't caught up with Giovanni. The speed of Giovanni's beedrill was astonishing, and with it being nighttime, it was even harder for Lance to track him down.
In the end, he lost him, which infuriated Lance. It took him a while to calm down before contacting Dylan. After all, he's the leader of Team Rocket, incredibly cunning. Dylan offered a gentle consolation.
Humph. I won't let him escape next time, Lance huffed. After ending the call with Lance, Dylan couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed.
The camera he had left in the Team Rocket base was now in pieces, evidently destroyed during the battle between Lance and Giovanni. Leaving the post-battle cleanup to Officer Jenny and her team, Dylan and the others left early.
You guys encountered the leader of Team Rocket?
Leah asked lightly, clearly in high spirits after successfully dismantling a major Team Rocket base.
Yes, he's incredibly strong.
We must be very cautious if we encounter him again, Dylan nodded. Giovanni was one of the strongest in every version, second only to Rainbow Giovanni in Ultra Sun and Moon and the Giovanni in the Special Series. Today, Dylan had witnessed firsthand the terrifying power of Giovanni's ace, beedrill. Among his current team, the strongest was Articuno, yet even Articuno's full-force blizzard had been effortlessly cleaved in two by beedrill's simple brick break. It was truly ridiculous.
Don't worry. I believe in you and Red.
You two will definitely be able to defeat that big boss in the future.
Leah quickly moved ahead of the two, smiling brightly as she looked up at them with her large eyes sparkling with unknown intent. Can we do it?
Red tilted his head, a bit confused. He felt like Leah's words had a deeper meaning. Dylan, however, understood who Leah's big boss was referring to, and after a moment of silence, he chuckled.
We can.
Yes, given enough time, of course they could.
He.
Though Leah believed that neither Dylan nor Red understood her true meaning, she was still delighted by Dylan's affirmation. In that case, as a reward, I'll give you guys the spoils of war. Leah extended her fair hand to them, revealing a shrunken pokeball in her palm.
What is this? Dylan raised an eyebrow. I found it in the base's lab.
Team Rocket truly committed unforgivable sins. Leah's expression revealed a hint of disgust and sadness. Even with her strong mind, the sights in that lab had made her nauseous and horrified. This poor creature deserves better. I believe that either you or Red will be able to care for it properly and end its suffering. Leah pursed her lips, speaking earnestly to the two. I've already had other gains, and you both gave up the league rewards for me.
Red? Dylan pondered for a moment and then looked at Red.
He had already encountered an unclaimed Darkrai and would try to catch it. Moreover, Leah and Red had pushed all the credit for this mission onto him, so taking another Pokémon didn't feel right. They were friends, and Dylan wasn't a greedy person. I didn't do much, Red shook his head, refusing. After some back and forth, Red still stubbornly declined the Pokémon, leaving Dylan to look at Leah again. Leah raised an eyebrow and firmly placed the Pokeball in Dylan's hand.
All right.
I'll prepare other gifts for you two later, Dylan relented. Then we'll look forward to it, Mr. Big Shot of Sylph Company, Leah said in a playful, mockingly sweet voice, making Red shiver with goosebumps.
Leah? What Pokemon is this? Dylan asked, amused and curious as he looked at the Pokeball. You'll see when you get home. This one's special. Chapter 83, Is our Larvitar inferior to them? The Kanto League launched an operation to take down a large Team Rocket base in Celadon City, personally led by the champion of the Elite Four, Lance.
This news quickly spread throughout the Kanto region, and there was no way to keep it under wraps. After all, the evacuation of civilians around the game corner caused quite a commotion. Not to mention the noise from the battle that followed, but in the end, it was a great victory. Naturally, the Pokémon League had no intention of suppressing the spread of this event. Especially since the last time the SSN was hijacked by Team Rocket, it had a significantly negative impact. Team Rocket's audacity was seen as a blatant disregard for the Kanto League, causing concern among the people. But now, not long after, the Kanto League had wiped out a large Team Rocket base. This was undoubtedly the Kanto League's counterattack. The forums under the Kanto League were buzzing with posts discussing this event, generating a lot of heat. Back at the hotel, Dylan first took a shower, and when he came out, he noticed an unfamiliar call. "Hello, who is this?" Dylan sat on a chair, playing with the Pokeball that Leah had given him, and spoke politely. "Hee Gym Leader Dylan, Lance should have mentioned me to you," a kind and elderly voice came through. Dylan immediately recognized it. President Charles Goodshow? Charles Goodshow, the current president of the Kanto League and also the chairman of the Pokemon League, was considered one of the greatest figures in the Pokemon League, reflecting the respect people had for him. "Yes, it's this old man. Dylan, Lance thinks very highly of you," Charles Goodshow teased with a smile. Lance was known for being extremely aloof, rarely giving anyone the time of day. "I'm also very grateful for Lance's guidance," Dylan nodded. It was evident that Lance had indeed looked out for him. However, Dylan seriously suspected that Lance was just waiting for someone like himself, who had also been recognized by the Viridian Forest, to challenge him. And then what? He would undoubtedly lose to Lance's dragon army, allowing Lance to use his seniority to educate him that the power of dragons is invincible. Well, in Lance's eyes, Dylan was just someone who used poison-type Pokemon. Lance was personally brought into the Kanto League by me, and in all these years, no one has ever been treated so specially by him. He even made a request to me on your behalf. Charles was a bit amused and a bit gratified. Lance had become increasingly cold and extreme, gradually immersing himself in his own world. Charles was actually very worried. He even had a bad premonition that if this continued, Lance might step into an abyss from which he could not return. But now it seemed that Lance still had some humanity left in him. It was just that ordinary people couldn't gain his approval. Dylan awkwardly chuckled. Lance was a bit too straightforward. He actually made the request for him? "Alright, Dylan, let's talk about your rewards for capturing the 3 high-ranking Team Rocket members and taking down their base." Sensing Dylan's embarrassment, Charles kindly changed the subject. "Considering your achievements, a single pseudo-legendary Pokemon might not be enough as a reward. According to Lance, you wanted a Larvitar, right?" Charles asked with a smile. "Yes, President. If a Bagon or Gibble is available, that would be fine too. A shiny Beldum would be even better." "Hee Dylan, you sure know how to challenge an old man like me." Charles chuckled. Ordinary pseudo-legendary Pokemon were one thing, but Dylan was asking for one with exceptional potential, which was already hard to come by. A Bagon or Gibble with excellent potential was highly prized, even by the Hoenn and Sinnoh leagues. As for a shiny Beldum, "Dylan, even if you sold me, I wouldn't be able to get one for you, so don't even think about it." Charles was quite humorous. It wasn't that he lacked the resources to obtain a shiny Beldum, but it was just something that depended on luck. Shiny Pokemon were already extremely rare, and Charles hadn't heard of any shiny pseudo-legendaries appearing recently. "As for Bagon or Gibble, there's no problem, but do you think our Larvitar is inferior to them?" Although he was the highly respected president of the Pokemon League, at the end of the day, he was still the president of the Kanto League. Was his region's pseudo-legendary inferior to others? Was Tyranitar any weaker than Salamence or Garchomp? "Not at all, President. I'm very fond of Tyranitar." Dylan quickly understood what Charles meant and responded with a smile. "I can give you a Larvitar, and as an additional reward for your significant achievements, I can also give you a shiny Pokemon. I got that little one from an old friend, and it took quite a bit of effort, so don't let it down." Charles joked kindly. He hadn't had a good night's sleep in days trying to secure this shiny Pokemon. "Thank you, President." Dylan's eyes lit up. A shiny Pokemon, especially one personally obtained by Charles, had to be quite rare. And with an exceptionally talented Larvitar, this was a huge win. No wonder the Pokemon League was so wealthy. If you want to thank me, then keep working hard. The future of the league depends on young people like you." Charles's old face lit up with a bright smile. He loved seeing vibrant young people, they represented the league's bright future. Come visit the Indigo Plateau sometime, and give my regards to Ito. That guy really left you with a mess to deal with. After some more small talk, Charles complained about Dylan's father, Ito. As the largest shareholder of Sylph Company, Ito had crossed paths with Charles several times. But I have to thank my dad too. If he hadn't pushed me, I wouldn't have gotten stronger, Dylan laughed heartily. That's true, young people need pressure to grow. Alright then, Dylan, I'll send those 2 Pokemon to you tomorrow. Got it, President. Goodbye. After hanging up with Charles Goodshow, Dylan was in a great mood. He dried his hair, changed into a clean set of clothes, and headed to a nearby training ground. Come on out. Looking at the 2 Pokeballs in his hand, Dylan decided to release the one Leah had given him first. With a flash of white light, a small, fox-like Pokemon appeared before him. Most of its fur was brown, with cream-colored fur around its neck and tail, and it had long, rabbit-like ears. Eevee? Dylan raised an eyebrow at the little creature. Yes, it was indeed an Eevee. Suddenly, Dylan remembered that in the special manga, there was an Eevee that Team Rocket had experimented on, allowing it to evolve into electric, fire, and water types at will and revert back to Eevee. Eevee. The Eevee cautiously observed its surroundings, keeping a distance from Dylan. Don't be afraid, we're no longer in that base. No one will ever experiment on you again. Dylan squatted down slightly, speaking gently to Eevee, and let his Viridian power seep out, calming Eevee's anxious emotions. Eevee. The soothing effect of the Viridian power was significant, conveying Dylan's goodwill to Eevee. Its emotions gradually settled, and it didn't resist Dylan as much. Good girl, are you hungry? Dylan carefully approached Eevee, offering it some poke blocks. Eevee was still a bit wary, its cute nose twitching as it sniffed, its little feet fidgeting as it wanted to approach but seemed hesitant. Don't be afraid, this is for you. Go ahead and eat. Dylan's voice was extremely gentle, and his kind eyes gave Eevee the courage it needed. Eevee. Eevee gently licked the poke block and seemed to enjoy the taste, happily nibbling on 2 blocks. Don't worry, I won't let anyone hurt you again. Dylan gently patted Eevee's small head. This little one was truly adorable. Little one, how about wearing this? It will stop the pain. After some thought, Dylan took out a necklace with an Everstone and gently suggested it to Eevee. Yes, although this Eevee had the power to evolve and revert at will, the process wasn't perfect. Each evolution caused it pain. So, in the special manga, Red eventually evolved Eevee into an Espion, freeing it from that pain forever. Eevee had finished the poke blocks and licked its lips, its gaze curious as it tilted its head at the Everstone necklace. Wear this, and it won't hurt anymore. Dylan placed the necklace around Eevee's neck. What form should it evolve into? Watching Eevee curiously play with the Everstone, Dylan pondered. Although Eevee could evolve into 3 different forms, each with its own combat style, this ability caused it too much pain. Dylan couldn't bear to see his Pokemon suffer like that. Aside from water, fire, and electric forms, the other 5 types, Psychic, Dark, Grass, Ice, and Fairy, each had their merits. Chapter 84, You're Not Weak. BPV, Normal Type, Evolution Pokemon. Ability, Adaptability. Moves, Tackle, Tail Whip, Quick Attack, Swift, Bite, Detect, Inherited. Description: to quickly adapt to changes in its environment, this Pokemon possesses the potential for multiple evolutions. Little one, are you full? Dylan picked up the now much more familiar Eevee, placing it on his shoulder, and gently rubbed its fluffy chin. V. Eevee's adorable little face showed a human-like happy smile, and it nuzzled against Dylan's cheek with a crisp cry. For some reason, it couldn't help but feel close to this human before it, even though it had sworn it would never easily forgive humans. Treats are fine, but you need to control the amount every day, Dylan said, taking out a special meat treat and offering it to Eevee. Eevee bit into it, chewing contentedly with its eyes adorably squinted into crescent shapes. Dylan smiled as he watched the joyful little Eevee. He felt a tinge of regret, this EV did not have its hidden ability, otherwise, he would have loved to evolve it into a Sylveon. Sylveon with Pixelate is very powerful. Without the hidden ability, it's still usable but lacks a certain flair. Umbreon is also a good option since it doesn't rely heavily on its ability, and Synchronize Umbreon is quite effective. Plus, Dylan was currently building a Dark-type team. However, he decided to let this little one choose for itself in the future. Dylan thought for a moment and decided to respect Eevee's own wishes. This Pokémon had already been through enough due to Team Rocket's experiments, which had caused it to be capable of evolving into 3 forms. Its evolution should be its own choice. After bonding with Eevee for a while, Dylan took out another Pokeball. This one was the heavyweight. Come out. Dylan opened the Pokeball. With a flash of white light, a pitch-black shadow rose slowly in front of Dylan. It was Darkrai. Compared to its weakened state at the Team Rocket base, Darkrai had recovered significantly, but it still seemed quite weary. Who knew what it had been through? Darkrai, hello, I'm Dylan. Do you remember me? Dylan smiled at Darkrai, the EV on his shoulder chewing its treat more quietly, curiously tilting its head to look at the nightmare Pokémon. Darkrai remained silent. Of course, it remembered, it had seen Dylan crush that annoying green-haired human. And it was Dylan who had saved it from that vault. Although I don't know how Team Rocket caught you, from now on, Darkrai, you are free. You have escaped from Team Rocket, Dylan continued. Darkrai, as a mythical Pokémon from Sinnoh, appearing in a Team Rocket base was too outrageous. Although Dylan had his suspicions, they were just guesses. It was clear Darkrai had suffered a lot at Team Rocket's hands. Darkrai remained silent, Dylan's words stirring unpleasant memories. The past is the past, Darkrai. Dylan noticed Darkrai's gloomy mood and quickly changed the topic. What do you plan to do next? Darkrai's blue eyes showed a hint of confusion. Plan? What plan could it have? Its trainer had abandoned it, it didn't even know where to go. This is probably a burden for you too. Dylan pressed the release button and let go of the red and white Pokeball. The ball rolled to Darkrai's feet, its blue eyes flickering. I don't know what you've been through, Darkrai. Maybe now isn't the best time, Dylan said, taking out a shrunken dark red Pokeball. But I'm the kind of person who likes to try things, Darkrai. I want to capture you. Dylan smiled warmly at Darkrai. Darkrai looked complexly at the human who had saved it. It had witnessed this human strength firsthand. I'm very weak. A deep, raspy voice suddenly sounded in Dylan's ear. Dylan's eyes brightened. This was Darkrai's telepathy. Most mythical and legendary Pokémon could use this special ability, and some particularly special Pokémon could learn it too. It allowed them to communicate directly through the mind, bypassing language barriers. Darkrai's species indeed used telepathy. Thinking of a certain movie featuring Darkrai, Dylan felt at ease. Weak? How can you be weak, Darkrai? Dylan chuckled. He liked this telepathic Darkrai even more. You are a mythical Pokémon. How many people in the world seek your power? Including me. Darkrai's blue eyes showed a trace of sadness. Yes, it knew many humans sought its power. But so what? It had still been abandoned because it wasn't strong enough. Even if something special happened, Darkrai, you are not weak. Come with me. Dylan extended his hand to Darkrai, his tone sincere. No matter what happened in the past, become my partner. Starting tomorrow, you will be reborn. Everyone will see, Darkrai, you are not weak. I will help you become strong. I will stand with you against those who hurt you and make them regret it. Darkrai's blue eyes flickered with emotion. Unknowingly, the pitch-black nightmare gradually approached the young man before it. I want to become strong. Yes, I will help you become strong. We will be great partners, Darkrai. Dylan smiled as he looked at the dark red Premier Ball in his hand. What a wonderful day it was. Darkrai, captured. Chapter 85, So Disappointing, Lance. Ding. Darkrai, Dark type, Dark Pokémon. Ability, Nightmare. Moves: Dark Void, Nightshade, Faint Attack, Hypnosis, Ice Beam, Psychic, Dark Pulse.
Description: It is said that Darkrai brings terrifying nightmares on moonless nights.
Looking at Darkray's information in the Pokédex, Dylan fell into thought. According to the game, Dark Void is a move Darkrai can only learn at level 66. However, based on the moves listed in the Pokédex, this Darkrai clearly hasn't reached level 66 yet. Since Darkrai hasn't even learned Double Team, does this mean that in reality, legendary Pokémon can learn their exclusive moves earlier? Or perhaps another Darkrai taught this one, allowing it to learn Dark Void ahead of time? Dylan couldn't be sure, but it wasn't a major issue. He hugged his cute Eevee and returned to the hotel. Gym Leader Group Chat. Celadon Gym Erica, phew, what a great victory. Everyone, today's operation was a huge success. Happy.jpg. Celadon Gym Erica, Executive Archer and Proton were both captured. Hee hee Dylan, you're amazing. Pewter Gym, Flint, impressive. Thumbs up.jpg. Cerulean Gym Lily, we saw the announcement too, wow. Cheering.jpg. Vermilion Gym, Lieutenant Surge, haha you guys are awesome, Archer and Proton are such losers. Laughing.jpg. Fuchsia Gym, Koga, my respect. Cinnabar Gym Blaine, haha young people these days really make us old folks look bad, cool.jpg. Viridian Gym Giovanni, hey it's a pity I couldn't leave my place. Otherwise, I would have loved to witness Dylan and Champion Lance in action firsthand. Regret.jpg. Saffron Gym Sabrina, headtilt.jpg. Rhoda Gym Dylan, with everyone's efforts, the evil Team Rocket couldn't resist. It's a pity we didn't capture their leader. If only Giovanni and the other veterans were there, the leader wouldn't have escaped. Psy.jpg. Viridian Gym Giovanni, it's indeed a pity. Next time we take action against Team Rocket, I'll definitely join. Everyone should learn from Erica and investigate if there are any Team Rocket bases in their cities. Saffron Gym Sabrina, surprise.jpg. Pewter Gym Flint, as expected of Giovanni. I'll contact Officer Jenny tomorrow to start a thorough investigation. Cerulean Gym Daisy, oh no, but we three sisters aren't strong enough. If we find anything, can we ask for everyone's help? Tearful.jpg. On a small path in Celadon City, Giovanni smiled as he read Daisy's message and replied affirmatively. Beside Giovanni stood a girl as delicate as a doll. She had long, straight black hair reaching down to her legs, an expressionless face that was extremely fair and exquisite, a form-fitting red dress with a black belt cinching her slender waist, and black tights covering her long legs. She was a stunning girl. Truly disappointing. Giovanni looked at the police station in the distance, his calm, deep voice betraying no emotion. Although the data from the gene fusion experiment was successfully retrieved, 3 of his 4 executives were captured. How could he accept this? The Beasts trio couldn't be easily mobilized from Johto, and the 3 admins were too unique to be readily deployed. Giovanni usually only had the 4 executives at his disposal. And now, with 3 executives gone, he hardly had anyone left in Kanto. Prepare yourself, Sabrina. Yes, boss. The girl named Sabrina put her phone away and released an alakazam. Next, the Kanto Alliance will undoubtedly increase their efforts against Team Rocket. Giovanni said calmly. No matter what, after tonight's actions, the Kanto Alliance would be furious. After all, Team Rocket had attacked the Celadon City police station and rescued their captured executives. But it couldn't be helped. By tomorrow, Archer and Proton would be secretly transported to the Indigo Plateau for detention, a place even Giovanni dared not easily infiltrate. Moreover, this was part of Giovanni's plan. He wanted the Alliance to be furious, especially one particular person. Alakazam, Hypnosis. Sabrina commanded coldly. Her Alakazam's hypnosis was extremely powerful. Without any preparation, most of the police station's personnel would be put to sleep. Giovanni, in disguise, could easily enter and rescue Archer and Proton, though Ariana had already been sent to the Indigo Plateau in the afternoon. Early the next morning,
Dylan was woken up by a phone call. Dylan. Bad news, I just got word that the Celadon police station was attacked last night,
Erica said hurriedly.
and the Team Rocket leader left a message too. Dylan was confused. After a while, Dylan finally understood the situation. At 10 o'clock last night, an alakazam appeared and used hypnosis to put most of the police station to sleep.
Then, the Team Rocket leader, along with a Beedrill, easily entered the station and rescued the specially detained Archer and Proton.
Giovanni even left a message on the police station wall. Tisk, the Alliance must be furious. Ending the call with Erica, Dylan clicked his tongue.
Good grief, Giovanni's direct assault on the Celadon police station to rescue his people was a blatant slap in the face for the Kanto Alliance, especially with the taunting message he left behind.
The Kanto Alliance couldn't not be angry, especially Lance. Dylan had asked Erica what Giovanni had written, and upon learning the answer, he was certain Giovanni did it on purpose. But this was getting interesting. Dylan got up and dressed.
The conflict between Team Rocket and the Kanto Alliance was intensifying.
Indigo Plateau Conference Room.
The Kanto Elite Four and Alliance Senior Council members were gathered here.
Outrageous.
How dare Team Rocket act so brazenly?
Too arrogant.
They're blatantly challenging the authority of the Kanto Alliance. First they hijacked the SSN, and now they've attacked a police station.
Is there nothing they won't do? Lawless. Simply lawless. The conference room was in an uproar, usually composed council members now red-faced with anger.
Charles Goodshow sat at the head of the table, his gray eyebrows furrowed. Lance stared intently at the large screen in front of him, which displayed the message in the Celadon police station lobby.
Your dragon is nothing special.
Lance's handsome face twisted and trembled, his mouth twitching as if he wanted to laugh but also seemed angry, his expression extremely strange. Lorelei remained cold-faced, silently watching the furious council members with icy, mocking eyes. Agatha grinned eerily, while Bruno stood with arms crossed, eyes closed, seemingly indifferent.
Lance! How did you lead your team?
Suddenly, an elderly council member turned the blame on Lance.
Encountering the Team Rocket leader, why didn't you capture him? Yes, how did you let the Team Rocket leader escape, Lance? How could you let him get away? So disappointing, Lance. As the Kanto champion, are you even qualified? Especially after your opponent left such a taunting message. Hearing these accusations, Charles Goodshow's frown deepened.
Lance seemed to only then hear these council members, turning his head slowly, his cold, merciless eyes darkening. That piercing gaze, not something a human should possess, made those about to join in the blame game feel like they'd fallen into an icy pit, silencing them. However, the few council members who first criticized Lance hadn't stopped.
Enough!
Charles Goodshow's low growl restored silence to the conference room.
Don't stop, continue.
But Lance stood up, his dragon-like, sharp eyes overlooking these useless council members, speaking lightly. Someone as proud as him wouldn't tolerate being berated by these worthless individuals. Unnoticed, a strong Dragonite had appeared behind Lance, its ominous dragon eyes fixed on the council members.
An invisible pressure filled the room, making some timid members tremble under Dragonite's gaze. Useless trash. Lance sneered.
Being mocked to their faces, these council members were furious but dared not speak out. Everyone knew Lance's temper, and none dared risk him unleashing Dragonite on them.
Lance!
Charles Goodshow sighed. Chairman, those Team Rocket rats, I'll wipe them all out. Lance headed for the conference room door, his cold eyes lingering on the screen, growing darker and more menacing.
Not a single one left. Lance exited the room, Lorelei adjusted her glasses, also sneering at the council members before leaving. The rift between the Kanto Elite Four and the Kanto Alliance was widening. Chapter 86, Bright Future. Dylan was completely unaware of what was happening at the Indigo Plateau. Outside of Celadon City, Dylan was bidding farewell to two friends, Leah and Red. See you later, Dylan. I'll come visit your gym when I have time. Always welcome. Call me if you need anything. Got it.
Leah, full of energy even in disguise, waved enthusiastically at Dylan before walking away cheerfully into the distance.
And then
Dylan and Red stood there, staring at each other.
"Don't look at me like that. I have to get back to the gym."
"Let's have a battle when you come to Rota," Dylan said helplessly after a while.
He could guess that Red really wanted to battle him right now.
Red, frown face emoji.
"Don't make that face.
By the way, Red, are you missing any particular type of Pokemon?"
Dylan asked, amused by Red's disappointed look. He wanted to prepare some gifts for Leah and Red. As trainers, their main Pokemon would undoubtedly be the best gift.
After all, Leah and Red had credited him for their achievements in the two Team Rocket incidents. He had to return the favor somehow. After these two events, Dylan felt he had gained too much with two exceptionally gifted pseudo-legendary Pokemon and an unknown shiny Pokemon.
No need.
Red, though shy, wasn't foolish and politely declined with a shake of his head.
"Don't be so polite. I'll pick something for you."
Though exceptionally talented pseudo-legendaries are indeed rare, with my dad's connections, we can still find some relatively rare Pokemon. Red stared at Dylan's face with his red eyes, hesitated for a while, and then nodded.
"I already have an idea for Leah. What about you, Red? Speaking of which, you're planning to challenge Lance this year, right?
If you're going to fight Lance, then a certain type of Pokemon is indispensable."
Dylan thought for a moment and decided to get an Ice-type Pokemon for Red. Red's battle against Lance at the end of the year would definitely be exciting.
After all, Lance in this world wasn't like the Lance from the first generation of games. Whether Red, who had only trained for a year, could defeat Lance was actually uncertain. Let me tell you, although Lance keeps boasting about his invincible dragon army, his team is actually very weak against ice types.
Trust me.
If Lance's main lineup hasn't changed much over the past few years, you could sweep through at least two of his Pokemon with a strong ice type.
Dylan enthusiastically shared his insights on battling Lance. Well, although Dylan himself hadn't fought Lance yet.
He wasn't sure about Lance's current main team configuration, but he didn't need to think much. Adding two ice types to the team against Lance was definitely a good idea.
"I already have a Lapras."
Red was silent for a moment and then replied.
Dylan was stunned.
True, Red did have a Lapras in the games.
Then how about a Fairy type?
If you're not planning on a Hail team, Alolan Ninetales might not be very suitable for you.
Red blinked, feeling that Dylan's enthusiasm was a bit unusual. "I have an idea now, Red.
Come to Celadon Gym when you have time, and we'll have a good battle."
Dylan thought for a moment, and his mind was made up.
He smiled at Red.
"Okay." Red nodded.
He wasn't good at socializing and had few people he could truly call friends, but he felt very comfortable spending time with Dylan and Leah. Leah was outgoing and enthusiastic, while Dylan was gentle and sincere, and a strong rival. Much better than his childhood friend, who couldn't stop complaining the moment they met.
Indeed, childhood friends were just a coincidence. After saying goodbye to Red, Dylan rode Articuno back to Rota.
Back at the gym, Dylan contacted Charles Goodshow, who then sent two Pokemon over.
"Dylan, did you receive them?"
"Yes, thank you, President."
Dylan looked at the two shrunken Pokeballs in his hand and smiled. "No need to thank me.
You deserve this, Dylan." Charles Goodshow's voice on the phone sounded tired and hesitant.
"What's the matter, President?" "Never mind, it's nothing. Just take a look at those two little ones first." After a moment of silence, Charles Goodshow chuckled. "Is it something troubling? Because Archer and Proton were rescued by Giovanni?" Dylan was curious.
As the president of the Kanto League, anything that truly troubled Charles Goodshow wouldn't be simple. But since Charles Goodshow didn't want to talk about it, there was nothing Dylan could do. After hanging up with Charles Goodshow, Dylan went to the backyard and released the two Pokeballs.
"You! Gah!" Two different cries sounded, and Dylan's gaze first fell on the Pokemon on the ground.
It wasn't very big, only about 0.6 meters tall, looking like a small dinosaur with gray-green skin, a long blonde horn on its head, red eyes, and short arms. It was Larvitar. You? This Larvitar seemed unafraid of strangers, tilting its head curiously at Dylan. Cute little guy. Dylan bent down and patted Larvitar's head, offering it an energy cube. Larvitar's eyes lit up and it began to munch on the cube. Seeing Larvitar eating so happily, the other Pokemon floated over. This one had a very strange appearance, with a purple spherical core, large white eyes, and a mouth with fangs. Its body was surrounded by a ring of gray gas. It was Ghastly. And a shiny one at that, as normal Ghastly had a black core. Didn't expect a shiny Ghastly. Did President Goodshow get this from Grandma Agatha? Dylan curiously observed the lively shiny Ghastly. Agatha had more than one Gengar. It's possible that one of Agatha's main Gengar's descendants turned out to be a shiny Ghastly, and if Charles Goodshow asked for it, he could probably get it. Ghastly, you have your own food. Don't snatch from Larvitar. Seeing the shiny Ghastly bite into Larvitar's energy cube, and Larvitar glaring at it, Dylan couldn't help but laugh, calming the two little ones. He took out 2 more boxes of energy cubes and snacks and placed them in front of them. The shiny Ghastly and Larvitar immediately started eating heartily. With the affinity of his Celadon power in the food, it didn't take long for these two little ones to become close to Dylan. Beep Ghastly, Ghost/Poison type, Gas Pokemon. Ability, Levitate. Moves, Payback, Mean Look, Hypnosis, Lick, Confuse Ray, Perish Zone, Egg Move. Description: said to be born from gases emitted by graves, Ghastly is formed from cursed energies. Looking at the shiny Ghastly's Pokédex entry, Dylan nodded in satisfaction. It had inherited Perish Zone, a move that could be very useful in certain situations. Dylan then aimed the Pokédex at Larvitar. Beep Larvitar, Rock/Ground type, Rock Skin Pokemon. Ability, Guts. Moves: Rock Slide, Scary Face, Bite, Payback, Stomp, Dragon Dance, Egg Move. Description: Larvitar feeds on soil. After eating a large mountain, it will sleep to grow. It had inherited Dragon Dance, which was great. Dylan raised an eyebrow. For Larvitar, which would evolve into Tyranitar, Dragon Dance was an excellent inherited move. After all, Dragon Dance boosts attack and speed, and since Tyranitar isn't very fast, Dragon Dance is perfect for boosting both speed and attack. Excellent, you both have bright futures ahead. Dylan was very pleased with the two little ones in front of him. A shiny Gengar, especially a Mega Evolved one, could be a top-tier ghost and poison type, and the shiny Mega Gengar was a stunning white, very cool. And Tyranitar didn't need much explanation. Properly trained, a future Mega Tyranitar would be a dominant rock type, a true powerhouse. It could even rival Darkrai for the top Dark-type spot in his team. Everyone has a bright future. Chapter 87. Challenger Rewards. Eat more, so you can grow up quickly. Dylan sat on a picnic blanket, opening 2 more boxes of energy cubes for the young Larvitar, smiling as he patted its little head. You! Larvitar was ecstatic and dove headfirst into the energy cubes. Nearby, the shiny Ghastly burped, looking in amazement at the still-devouring Larvitar. What was this thing? Was its stomach a bottomless pit? How did it grow like this? Eevee, lying on Dylan's lap, also watched Larvitar with curiosity. Don't follow its example. Larvitar's appetite is something you can't match. Don't overeat and get sick. Dylan gently stroked Eevee's soft fur, reminding the shiny Ghastly and Eevee. As a late bloomer Pokemon, Larvitar was a classic example because its evolution required accumulating a lot of nutrients. The Pokédex mentioned that Larvitar could eat a mountain, which was true in practice. Of course, it didn't mean that Larvitar only ate dirt. It mainly absorbed the nutrients in the soil. So, feeding it nutrient-rich energy cubes was also effective, speeding up its growth. However, this approach was usually for those who were well off. Of course, Dylan wasn't short of money, but he had an even faster way to evolve Larvitar. He had a system.
This life is pretty good. Dylan leisurely took a sip of water, looking into the distance.
Darkrai was training with Toxapex, but due to the difference in strength, Darkrai was mostly getting beaten by Toxapex. However, Darkrai was very determined and had a strong desire to become stronger. Toxapex, Drapion, Incineroar, Dusknoir, Darkrai, and the future Tyranitar, my Dark-type team is almost complete.
Dylan thought for a moment.
His Dark-type Pokemon team was coming together, but this team's strength wasn't suitable for most challengers.
I'll open a new region tonight.
In the simulated growth world, he couldn't stay in Kanto to level up anymore, he needed to open new maps. Recently, to quickly level up the new Pokemon, he hadn't opened new regions. He had no choice, opening a new region meant starting from scratch again, and leveling up was too slow.
It was much faster to grind in the high-level maps of Kanto.
This system was really tricky, not allowing repeat challenges against the Elite Four.
Otherwise, leveling up would be even faster. Poison and dark types can be rotated. Dylan thought about it.
Once my father sent over the new Dark-type Pokemon, his Dark-type team would be complete. He could use one team for strong challengers and another for weaker ones, perfect. From now on, his gym wouldn't be just a Poison-type gym.
In the blink of an eye, it was Monday again. Ta-da! I'm back at Rota Gym.
Pushing open the gym doors, the receptionist, wearing a clean short-sleeved shirt and skirt, cheerfully shouted, looking a bit playful. Beside her, Celine covered her mouth, laughing.
Ha! What's this?
Soon, the two girls noticed a new object in the center of the hall.
Is this a spinning wheel?
What's it for? Celine walked over, puzzled, looking at the wheel that resembled a lottery spinner. The wheel was divided into 3 sections, deep purple and black occupied 99% of the wheel, with 1% being gold.
This is for challengers.
A clear, gentle voice came from behind.
Celine and the receptionist immediately recognized it. Good morning, gym leader. Wow, what a cute EV.
The receptionist turned, greeting with a smile, but her eyes were quickly drawn to the yawning EV in Dylan's arms, such an adorable little fox.
Celine's eyes also sparkled. Girls generally couldn't resist cute Pokemon. Even Celine, who didn't consider herself a looks person, couldn't help but be charmed.
Eevee noticed their gazes and tilted its head in confusion.
Gym leader, is this your new Pokemon?
Yes,
isn't it cute? Dylan lifted Eevee's little paw, waving it at the two girls with a smile.
He had to admit, Eevee was small and soft, making it perfect for cuddling.
It even made a great pillow at night. Wow, so cute. Gym leader, can I hug it?
The receptionist bit her finger, hopeful.
That depends on Eevee's opinion.
However, Eevee was cautious around anyone other than Dylan, refusing to let the receptionist touch it despite her attempts to lure it with snacks.
Gym leader, what's this wheel for?
Celine remained curious. This is for challengers to spin, adding some fun to the gym challenges, Dylan explained with a smile.
Fun?
The receptionist and Celine were puzzled.
Yes, you see the colors on the wheel?
Spinning poison means the challenger will face my poison-type team.
Spinning dark means they'll face my dark-type team. Isn't that interesting? Dylan's smile remained bright. Celine and the receptionist were stunned.
No, gym leader, we think challengers might smash our windows after battling. They mentally complained. The gym leader's poison-type team was already notorious, and challengers who strategized against it would be in for a surprise if they spun the dark-type team.
Oh dear. The receptionist could already imagine the gym being called the Nasty Gym online, after being labeled as a cancer gym before. Currently, the team isn't fully complete, so there's only poison and dark. I'll add more types later. Dylan was looking forward to it.
Eventually, he'd have all 18 types on the wheel.
Gym leader, what about the gold section? Celine pointed to the 1% gold area.
Oh, that's a special reward for challengers.
Ha!
The receptionist was confused. Gym leader, the league doesn't approve of gyms giving badges away, she said anxiously. She was worried the gym leader would get punished by the Pokemon League. What are you thinking? I'd never give away badges for free. Dylan looked at her strangely. Such an act would insult challengers. As a qualified gym leader, he'd never do that. Then what's the reward? Are you giving gifts? Celine was even more curious. Anyone lucky enough to land on the gold area deserves a reward. Dylan smiled. If they spin gold, they'll battle my team of legendary Pokemon. How about that? Dylan had thought this through. Since he'd caught legendaries, they shouldn't just sit idle. As a trainer, not a breeder, he believed Pokemon should battle. So he set up this golden reward, a chance to battle legendary Pokemon. Most people would never see a legendary Pokemon in their lifetime, but the generous gym leader of Rota Gym was willing to offer this honor to lucky challengers. Not only could they see the precious legendaries, but they could also battle them. Facing legendary Pokemon was a huge reward. Even losing the battle would give them a story to tell for life. Currently, Dylan only had Articuno and Darkrai, but he planned to catch more, like Eternatus and Necrozma. Challengers would surely be thrilled to face such powerful legendaries. What? Celine and the receptionist were stunned. Chapter 88, is this for real? Gym leader, isn't this a bit too outrageous? The receptionist couldn't bring herself to say it out loud, but her expression showed her confusion. Both she and Celine knew the gym leader had captured the legendary Articuno, a true legendary Pokemon. It was different from Pokemon classified as legendary but surprisingly numerous, like Arcanine. But using Articuno in battles against challengers. The receptionist could already imagine the scene. Bug catcher and youngster, go, Caterpie, Rattata. Dylan, go, Articuno. Bug catcher and youngster, wah mom. This is just too ridiculous, you scoundrel. Don't worry, it's just a fun little surprise. Dylan understood what the receptionist was worried about and smiled as he explained. The golden section of the spinning wheel was tiny compared to the whole wheel, making it incredibly difficult to land on. It might not even happen once in 6 months. Moreover, even if someone did land on it, Dylan would adjust accordingly, giving challengers a fair chance. After all, as a gym leader, his primary duty was to assess challengers' abilities. Dylan prided himself on being a qualified gym leader. That's true. The receptionist tilted her head, realizing he had a point. All right, let's go have breakfast. We might get challengers soon. Dylan ruffled the receptionist's hair affectionately. Gym leader, don't mess with my hair. I worked hard to style it. The receptionist pouted, clearly unhappy. Haha, okay, my apologies. Dylan laughed warmly, showing no real remorse. The morning passed quickly. 4 challengers arrived, 3 of whom were new and found the spinning wheel concept intriguing. The 4th was a returning challenger, who looked grim upon seeing the wheel. He had prepared a team specifically to counter poison types, only to be told the gym leader might use a dark type team? What was the point of his preparation? This Rota Gym was too devious. As expected, the returning challenger spun dark and was thoroughly defeated by Incineroar and Meowscarada, leaving the gym muttering about the unfairness. The other 3 trainers, although they lost, were fascinated by the new concept and enjoyed the unique challenge. Around 1 p.m. Hello, I'm Richie from Frodamar City. I'd like to challenge the gym. A boy wearing a hat entered Rota Gym, speaking to the receptionist, who was trying to figure out how to pet EV. A challenger? Sure, the gym leader is here. The receptionist blinked her big eyes, leading Richie to the spinning wheel. What's this? Richie was puzzled, having challenged several gyms, but this was new. This is unique to Rota Gym. The gym leader is proficient in many types, so challengers spin the wheel to determine which type they'll face, the receptionist explained sweetly. Oh, okay. Blushing slightly at the receptionist's smile, Richie quickly focused. So, the gym leader's team type is decided by my spin? Yes.
And the gold section?
Well, the gym leader says it's a special reward, only for the very lucky. The receptionist struggled to keep her smile, thinking it might reveal facing Articuno and Darkrai. She and Celine had just learned that the gym leader had recently captured the mythical Darkrai. As expected of the gym leader, truly impressive.
Got it, I'll give it a try.
Richie, intrigued, focused on the tiny gold section.
Please, press this button. Okay.
Richie pressed the button, and the wheel spun rapidly, finally slowing and stopping. The receptionist was stunned.
Wow! I landed on gold.
Richie was thrilled, thinking it meant he was exceptionally lucky.
But why did the receptionist look so odd? You're very lucky.
The receptionist's smile was a bit strained, her eyes showing some concern. Since the type is decided, please wait while I notify the gym leader. The receptionist, maintaining her sweet smile, walked away.
Sure, thank you. Richie didn't have to wait long. Dylan soon arrived at the battle arena. So, you're the challenger? Impressive, you're the first to land on the gold section. Dylan raised an eyebrow, recognizing Richie from the quartz conference.
Richie had advanced to the top 8 by narrowly defeating Ash, thanks to Ash's Charizard being disobedient.
But he hadn't expected someone to land on the gold section on the first day.
Please guide me, gym leader.
Richie smiled brightly.
They took their positions, and the referee announced the rules. The gym challenge for the Rota badge begins now.
The challenger is Richie from Frodamar City. The battle is 2 versus 2. The gym leader will send out the first Pokemon and cannot switch. The challenger wins if both of the gym leader's Pokemon are defeated. Begin! The referee waved the flag, signaling the start.
In the stands, the receptionist had pulled Celine over to watch this rare event, the first challenger to land on the gold section.
Richie, welcome to Rota Gym. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Dylan, the master of Rota Gym, and I specialize in multiple types.
Dylan adjusted his collar and enlarged a luxury ball in his palm, smiling at Richie.
Even Richie had to admit, this gym leader was really charismatic. Richie, have you ever heard of legendary Pokemon? Question mark. Richie was taken aback.
Of course, he had heard of them, growing up in Kanto, listening to stories about the legendary birds.
But why was the gym leader bringing this up? Legendary Pokemon possess immense power and are extremely rare.
They are often revered as gods or creators of the world, some even causing great disasters in the past.
Regardless, they possess extraordinary power. Dylan spoke, his magnetic voice captivating Richie. Have you ever seen a legendary Pokemon? Dylan asked. No.
Richie replied, feeling a bit embarrassed. He had always wanted to see one, but never had the chance.
Well, congratulations, Richie.
Dylan still wore a gentle smile as he threw the luxury ball.
My first Pokemon is Articuno, prepare for battle. The ball opened, releasing a white light. Yow!
The clear, melodious cry echoed through the gym as the magnificent ice blue bird spread its wings, shimmering with a beautiful blue light, frost falling gently around it.
The legendary Articuno. It's really Articuno. Richie was stunned. Gym leader, is this for real? You want me to battle Articuno? Chapter 89, You're a bit extreme.
Richie's mind was in a daze at this moment. Good news, he had seen the legendary Articuno, the mythical bird Pokemon of Kanto. Articuno was as beautiful and enchanting as the legends described.
Bad news, he was challenging the gym, and Articuno was the gym leader's Pokemon, which meant Articuno was the opponent he would face next.
Oh, this.
Gym leader Dylan.
I'm just a rookie who started this year. I've only earned 4 gym badges so far. After a while, Richie finally regained his senses and couldn't help but speak to Dylan tactfully.
Facing Articuno in a battle, did he really have the ability to do that?
He was just a newcomer who started this year.
Using this to battle me, isn't that a bit too much? Don't panic, Mr. Richie.
You are the first man to draw the golden legend.
Dylan tried to soothe the challenger's emotions. Of course, you wouldn't panic. Because it was you who sent out Articuno. Richie ranted internally. Facing a formidable opponent and challenging fearlessly is also the spirit a trainer should possess, Mr. Richie, don't you agree?
Well, that's true, but... Richie was taken aback by the words but still felt something was off.
Don't worry, Mr. Richie. Attack me with all your might and show me everything you've got.
Dylan extended his hand towards Richie. When you face a legend and dare to initiate an attack, I think you will have grasped the true meaning of being a trainer. This is just a regular gym challenge. If you can't even face this, then I hope, Mr. Richie, you seriously reconsider if you are truly fit to be a trainer.
Dylan spoke with a faint smile.
Although he had a bit of a personal agenda in setting up this Golden Legend lineup, the reasoning was indeed sound. This was just a gym battle. Even if he failed, it wouldn't cause any loss in the gym battle. Using a legendary Pokemon to temper the challengers was somewhat bullying, but a truly determined trainer would never give up because of the strength of their opponent. Not to mention, this was just a gym challenge.
That's right. A true trainer dares to face fear.
Richie was filled with passion, his eyes seemingly ablaze with fiery determination.
What was he panicking about? This was just a gym battle.
Even if he lost, he could always challenge again. But to be the first one to draw the Golden Legend and face Articuno, that was something.
Fired up. Just an Articuno, right? It was weak to electric, weak to fire, and 4 times weak to rock.
Today, Richie would slay the god and prove his path.
Today would be the starting point of his legendary journey. Sparky. I need you.
Richie decisively threw a Pokeball, and a Pikachu with a tuft of hair on its head landed in front of him. Yes, he had named his Pikachu Sparky.
Pika. Pikachu?
Sparky landed with great momentum, looking up at the Pokemon opposite him, but upon seeing it clearly, Sparky was stunned. Articuno flapped its wings slowly, its faint legendary aura spreading out, the overwhelming pressure causing Sparky the electric mouse to swallow nervously, taking 2 steps back as the tuft on its head drooped.
Pika? Pikachu?
Sparky couldn't help but turn back to Richie, calling out continuously, speaking very quickly, and casting a death glare.
Are you crazy? I'm just an electric mouse, and you want me to fight Articuno? Why don't you send me to fight Ho? Don't be afraid, Sparky. Show our spirit. Richie, caught up in the moment, encouraged Sparky.
Sparky tilted his head, full of question marks.
No matter how much spirit you have, I can't beat this thing, you idiot. Why don't you go fight it yourself?
But seeing his trainer's high spirits, Sparky sighed human-like, turned back, and gazed up at Articuno. Well, he was his trainer, so he had to indulge him. Gym leader Dylan, please watch carefully.
I will give everything I have as a trainer.
I will burn myself and go all out.
Richie declared passionately. Very well. Such spirit. Then attack with all your might. Dylan nodded in satisfaction. Sparky, use a powerful thunderbolt. The Pikachu named Sparky gritted its teeth, its cheeks sparking, and a bolt of electricity shot towards Articuno in midair. Articuno didn't dodge at all, directly getting hit by the thunderbolt. It hit. Ria, huh? Richie was delighted but quickly noticed something was wrong.
The sound of crackling electricity continued, but Articuno, enveloped in the thunderbolt, seemed unfazed.
It simply flapped its wings heavily. The golden current dispersed, and Articuno's feathers remained smooth and shiny, glowing faintly. This. Richie was dumbfounded. Sparky, no emotion face, Sparky, put in more effort. Richie scratched his head. This electric mouse couldn't be messing with him, could it? No, Sparky wasn't that kind of Pikachu. Pikachu. Sparky was furious. A thicker golden current shot towards Articuno, Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt hit again, but Articuno didn't move an inch.
The electricity continued to crackle and corrode Articuno's body. But Articuno still seemed unaffected. Wait, Articuno frowned. It frowned slightly, then shook its body, dispersing the current. Richie. At least pretend to be hurt by the thunderbolt. And then. There was no one then. I'm sorry, Gym Leader Dylan. I'm too weak to meet your expectations. After the battle, Richie was very disheartened and upset. In the just concluded battle, Dylan had really been considerate, hardly letting Articuno take the initiative to attack and even deliberately lowering its flight height. But even so, his Pikachu, Sparky, and Charmander, Ben, had no chance of winning. Even when Sparky's Thunderbolt hit Articuno, Articuno didn't react at all, as if leisurely bathing in the electricity. Don't be so down, Mr. Richie. Everyone starts as a rookie trainer and gradually grows stronger. Dylan walked up to Richie and spoke gently, with Articuno slowly folding its wings and landing behind him. Weak strength can be improved with time, but weak willpower is hard to change. What I saw in you, Mr. Richie, is a rare spirit. Even when facing Articuno, you didn't give up. Dylan's soft voice made the disheartened Richie look up, tears welling up in his eyes with emotion. I am looking forward to your future. Dylan seemed to remember something and gave Richie a suggestion. Being able to draw such a low-probability golden legend meant Richie's luck was off the charts today. Ha! I get it. Richie was taken aback by the suggestion but nodded, though not entirely understanding. After watching Richie leave Rhoda Gym, Dylan turned to look at the innocent-looking Articuno. Next time, at least put on a show. That thunderbolt was a move that should have affected you. You could at least cry out in pain to give the challenger some comfort. Yow! Articuno tilted its head thoughtfully, seeming to understand a little. Yow! A promising student, Dylan nodded in satisfaction. Sparky, no emotion face. Meanwhile, as Richie stepped out of Rhoda Gym, he was immediately surrounded by 3 people. You guys? Richie looked nervously at the 3 strangers of varying heights and sizes in front of him. Don't be nervous, man. We're just regular folks. Yeah, brother, we're not bad people. By the way, what type did you get when you spun the wheel in the gym? That gym is off the charts. They've even added a spinning wheel, it's making the challenges even harder. The 3 men continued talking, both intrigued and complaining, leaving Richie a bit dazed. You guys? But Richie started to understand. That's right. We're also challengers at Rhoda Gym, brother. Want to join us? We can share challenge experiences and tackle this vicious Rhoda Gym together. The tall guy spoke with a serious expression. Huh? Richie was even more confused. Vicious Rhoda Gym? To be honest, we've suffered at the hands of Rhoda Gym for too long. Ever since that ruthless gym leader started using a poison-type lineup, it's been over a month, brother, and as far as I know, not a single person has earned the Rhoda badge. Can you believe that? I've challenged the gym 3 times. 3 times. I finally managed to train 2 Pokémon specifically to counter poison types, and today, on my 4th challenge, they had a spinning wheel, and I ended up with a dark-type team. Is this something a gym leader should be doing? The short guy looked deeply aggrieved and frustrated. By the way, let's head over there. There's a really good drink shop. I'm quite familiar with this place. The short guy enthusiastically invited Richie. Yeah, after coming to Rhoda 3 times, no, 4 times now, he was very familiar with Rhoda. Brother, what lineup did you get? The chubby guy was very curious. I got the golden one. Gym leader Dylan used Articuno against me. Richie answered honestly. Ha! Times 3". The 3 were stunned. Articuno? Was it the same Articuno they were thinking of? Brother, let's go, let's chat properly. At 3 p.m., Dylan was resting in the backyard. Gym leader group chat. Officer Jenny at Rhoda Gym leader Dylan, I think you're being a bit too extreme. Sweating profusely. JPG.
Chapter 90, The Story of Me and Rhoda Gym.
Upon seeing the message from his superior, Officer Jenny, Dylan felt a bit puzzled.
But soon after.
Officer Jenny, my subordinates received some information that you used the legendary Articuno to challenge a new trainer this afternoon.
Sweating profusely. JPG.
Officer Jenny, Gym Leader Dylan, I understand that as humans, we all have bad days, but as a gym leader, you can't take out your frustration on challengers.
They're just kids. Heartfelt advice. JPG. Rhoda Gym Dylan.
Cerulean Gym Daisy, no emotion face emoji. Viridian Gym Giovanni, as expected of Gym Leader Dylan, applause. JPG.
Pewter Gym Brock, did Dylan really catch an Articuno? Wow, that's amazing. Impressed. JPG.
Vermilion Gym Lieutenant Surge, hahaha Dylan, you're something else. Using Articuno against a rookie, you're even harsher than I am, ha, 666. JPG.
Fuchsia Gym Koga.
Miss Jenny, I believe Dylan must have had a reason for doing this.
Dylan isn't that kind of person. And Dylan, did you really catch an Articuno? That's awesome. Admiration. JPG. Saffron Gym Sabrina, thinking. JPG. Officer Jenny, stop egging him on.
Gym Leader Dylan, I hope you won't do this again.
Although the league doesn't forbid gym leaders from using their main team against challengers, using Articuno against a rookie, that's a bit too much.
Rhoda Gym Dylan, Miss Jenny, I think I can explain.
Dylan felt a bit helpless.
Even in his previous life, aside from his time at school, he'd never been called out by a superior.
Dylan then took the initiative to call Jenny. After explaining the new features of his gym, Jenny fell into thought. This feature is actually quite good.
Officer Jenny paused, her tone rather odd. She had to admit, this idea of letting challengers spin a roulette and then face the team of the type they land on was actually pretty clever. Not only does it test the challenger's adaptability, but it also leaves a strong impression. Even if they challenge again, they can learn new battle strategies, and it leaves a lasting memory. It could also boost the reputation of the Kanto region, considering many trainers from other regions travel here. A gym like Rhoda's with such a distinctive feature is great. But Gym Leader Dylan, that Easter egg of yours?
I think you should tweak it a bit. If a complete rookie happens to land on it, you can't really send Articuno to battle their cater pie, can you? Officer Jenny was quite exasperated.
If the rookie has a strong enough mindset, that's fine, but if they don't, they might be so crushed that they give up on becoming a trainer altogether.
I'll keep that in mind, Dylan replied with a smile. Okay, then there's no problem.
The Inspection Bureau will support you, Gym Leader Dylan. Officer Jenny, always efficient, naturally supported Dylan once she understood the situation. There was no reason not to support him. He hadn't broken any gym rules or protocols, and this unique feature even made Officer Jenny a bit excited about the future development of the Rhoda Gym.
After ending the call with Officer Jenny, Dylan continued to think about the team's configuration for the upcoming battles.
Meanwhile, in the gym, Kyo and his sister were eagerly reading a post on the league forum. The post was titled The Story of Me and the Rhoda Gym, and it was currently quite popular.
Kyo's sister had stumbled upon it by chance. I'm a trainer currently challenging gyms.
My real name isn't important, but I already have 6 gym badges, so I guess I'm pretty decent. Then, about a month ago, I happened to come across a notice board on Rhoda Street and learned that there was a gym here. As a trainer, I couldn't pass up the chance to challenge a gym, but little did I know this would be the start of my nightmare.
Tearful. JPG. The Rhoda Gym leader is named Dylan. Yes, the same Dylan who was hailed as a hero in the SS and incident reported by the league. He looks bright and clean, but the Pokemon he uses are dark and evil.
You all might not be able to imagine what it was like when I first faced the demon named Malamar.
It was hell. That battle shook my understanding of the Pokemon world. I had no idea poison types could be so terrifying.
But I pride myself on being resilient. I fell there, so I picked myself up and tried again. I challenged 5 times. My growth was remarkable, even Dylan praised my progress. Though it's a bit embarrassing, I was really happy when Dylan praised me. Shy.jpg. However, even so, I can't accept falling at the same place 5 times. P.S. Actually, after the 5th battle, Dylan was willing to give me the badge, but I refused. How could I, a man of honor, accept a pity badge? And this afternoon, I went to challenge Dylan again, but I never expected Dylan to use a roulette mechanism. The team I painstakingly prepared to counter poison types was completely useless. Rhoda Jim. You're the worst. How could you do this? I spent a month and a half preparing that unbeatable team, and now. Crying.jpg. There was no follow-up, as the anonymous writer seemed to have reached their breaking point, likely needing a couple of hours to recover. M. Kyo and his sister exchanged glances, both with odd expressions. They had some recollection of this. That afternoon, there was indeed a familiar-looking challenger with glasses, a well-mannered one, who ended up drawing the Dark-type team. He ran out of the gym with red eyes, shouting, "I'll be back." "Quick, check the comments," Kyo urged his sister, who immediately scrolled down to the comments section. As a fellow victim of the Rhoda Gym, hugs. Damn. Bro, you're really stubborn. I gave up after one try at that gym. Dylan offered you a badge? Really? You're not exaggerating, are you? Thumbs up. Even though the challenge was tough, Dylan is a very responsible gym leader. And the most important thing is, Dylan is so handsome. Blushing.jpg. I was planning my second challenge at Rhoda Gym, but what's this roulette mechanism? I didn't know there were so many like-minded people out there. Finally found my group. That damn gym, I will get that badge no matter what. The post had only been up for half an hour, but it was already receiving a lot of attention. There were some who had actually challenged the gym, but also many curious trainers who were just spectators. The post's popularity was growing rapidly. And the roulette mechanism at Rhoda Gym was starting to spread. I have a feeling more and more challengers are going to come, Kyo's sister said, blinking. That post had garnered a lot of interest, with many challengers who had already faced Rhoda Gym sharing their experiences and others who were curious joining in the discussion. The popularity of the Rhoda Gym and its roulette mechanism was rising fast. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. Rhoda Street, I'm back again. A spiky-haired boy stopped his bicycle coolly at the Rhoda Street notice board and slicked back his bangs, standing proudly as he surveyed the town. It was none other than Gary. This time, I'll reclaim everything I lost. Gary parked his bike with a determined look on his face. 3 times and no more. Yes, 3rd time's the charm. How could it be that he, Gary Oak, grandson of Samuel Oak, had already failed twice here? Is that reasonable? Not at all. He had prepared an unbeatable strategy. This time, he would definitely win. Gary, you're so handsome. Gary is the best. Our determined Gary is so charming. Behind Gary, his cheerleading squad, who had also parked their bikes, gazed at him with adoring eyes. Oof, my dear girlfriends, let's go. Our destination is Rhoda Gym, wait. Gary, proudly holding his head high, was the picture of a spirited young man. But just as he was about to lead the way, his phone rang, and all that confidence evaporated in an instant. Motioning for his girlfriends to keep quiet, Gary answered the call. Hello? Blue. Gary. The lazy voice of a young man echoed in Gary's ears, the tone slow and casual. How many badges do you have now? Ahem, 3 badges. What did you say? Blue's questioning voice was so loud that Gary immediately fell silent. If I remember correctly, you had 3 badges over a month ago, right, Gary? Blue asked flatly. This annoying little brother of his had been slacking off ever since he started his journey. Looks like he hasn't been scolded in too long. Blue, there's a reason for that. Gary replied nervously, feeling a bit pale. Yeah, because I've spent the past month or so focused entirely on figuring out how to challenge the Rhoda Gym. I've been fully dedicated to preparing my strategies and training my Pokemon, so I really haven't had time to challenge other gyms.
I've been challenging the Rota gym recently, Blue.
Once I get that badge, the other badges won't even matter.
Gary's voice was firm and determined. Oh? The Rota gym? Blue fell into deep thought.
Yes, Blue. This gym is really challenging, but I already have a foolproof strategy.
How many times have you challenged it?
Twice.
You've challenged it twice and still haven't won? Don't go telling people you're my brother.
Blue spoke disdainfully.
Gary! Just in time.
I just got the Viridian Gym badge, so I'll come over and join you. I'll get a good look at your current skills. Blue said lazily.
Blue, I think.
Gary's face turned bitter. He really didn't want his own brother supervising his battles, especially since meeting up would inevitably lead to a scolding from his monster of a brother.
I don't care what you think.
I've already collected 8 official badges.
Gary, let your brother show you how it's done, how to get a badge. Blue grinned, revealing a defiant and sharp confident smile. Gym badges?
Hey, aren't they just something you can get with a flick of the wrist? That wraps up this part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.